lie. Welcome to the Players Lounge. Yeah.
Everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Postgame Reaction. This week, again, I'm your host, Alex Markham. Got Zack Moss with me and Josh Nurse. How we doing, boys?
What's the deal? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Hey, and fun game to watch. 45-14. I would say some people thought that could happen. Nobody was gonna come right out and say like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen, right? So it was a pleasant thing to see. I wouldn't say a pleasant surprise, right? Because man, you guys can attest to it, and we've talked a little bit about it. Utah after dark, that old Pac-12 after dark, that's a different beast, and the Bearcats found out, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It was a. I mean, you talk about a blackout game. The energy with that, like just the pack. Those night games just by itself. At Rice Eccles is always going to be really, really good. But then you add it to being a blackout game, right? Like they got the new hand painted helmets on. They just came off of thrash in Colorado, right? So they really feeling like they can't do no wrong right now. So like they came out and they started fast. Like they really jumped on those dudes fast. Really ain't have no letdown and really no areas. Dampier looked a little gimpy still, but he was able to manage it really well. They threw the ball well. Like they looked like a team. Special teams was hitting on everything. The defense played lights out. I mean, the D line and that quarterback for Cincinnati is really good. Like he is going to be
Yeah.
in NFL next year, and on somebody's starting roster, most likely. Like that dude he can play now, and I mean our defensive line won the best defensive line in the Big 12 this past weekend. So like that just tells you just how much they had Cincinnati's offensive line, and they were affecting every single facet of the game. That allowed our offense to just go out there and just ball, and our guys just didn't have no problems really.
So I say this half jokingly, but how many rounds did Utah's defense drop, Sorsby?
Man, I couldn't even tell you. It was all game. Sorsby at some point, like I think they like cut the camera to him, and he just looked so frustrated. Like he looked ridiculously frustrated, and I'm just like, that's what the Utah defense will do to you. You can't figure it out. It's hard to figure it out. Morgan Scalley is just he's a genius like that. Like you think like, okay, they're running this. And then the same pressure come from a different place. And then they come from a different place. Then they come up to A gap. Then they send a corner blitz. And it's like, dang, I can't figure it out. Or by the time you figure it out, it's 45-14.
I still don't think they had it figured out, man. So Zach, when you dropped for a second there, I was kind of joking around, but also being serious. Like, how many rounds do you think Utah's defense dropped Sorsby after that game?
Man, I don't even know. They were at his neck the whole game, man. Like I think, like Josh was just saying, like Coach Scalley really had a great game plan to really go in and affect him as much as they possibly could. Like they didn't want him to get comfortable. They didn't want him to start, just feeling himself and throwing different type of arm angles. I saw him throw one sidearm throw one time, and like he got some really good touch on the ball. Like he really, I was watching him like, yo, this dude. I had never watched him before, and I heard people throughout the course of the games like, yo, this dude's legit, and I'm like, all right, let me see, and like the way that Coach Scalley never let him get comfortable, never let him just think he understood what was happening in the moment of the game. Like that was literally a masterclass on how to call a defensive game plan versus a really, really good quarterback because Cincinnati didn't have obviously once they lost their running back, right, going into the game, right, like that changed everything for those guys, right? Like who knows how efficient or well that offense could have played if they had that guy, right? Like, I mean, shoot, obviously Vegas thought that the dude was really good because at first we opened up at 3.5 and then it moved all the way to 11.5, right? So like he clearly was a really good player. Um, so that means when you take one of those pieces off the table there, right? Like Scally just didn't even think about nothing. Like he was
Hmm.
sending blitzes. He was, the guys up front was winning with four sometimes, right? Like, and they were closing the pocket. Like they weren't getting a lot of edge pressure. It was really affecting them up the middle and trying to get him off his spot and stuff like that. So, I mean, they couldn't have played any better, man. Like they really could have not played defensively any better. And I usually never come on here talking about the defense, like, but those dudes was playing so damn good. Like it was crazy. Like there's nothing they could do. It's like whatever they wanted to do, they couldn't do. And then DBs, they held up great in man coverage a lot of the times. A lot of deep shots that Sorsby did get off with some real good placement on some of those, right? Like those dudes was running stride for stride with those dudes and was locking them up and didn't give up no chunk plays really throughout the course of the game. And that was like a game where they finally met the moment. You know how we kind of talked about the Tech game. We just didn't feel like that energy was there overall from everybody. This game felt like they knew the magnitude of it. They felt the energy. They felt the college game day. Having Alex Smith, Eric Waddle, those type of dudes back in the stadium and things like that. Like those guys really, I felt like you know you feed off that as players sometimes. Like you got some really good dudes that's played the game at a high level and stuff like that, right? Like, and you see them on the sideline, you see them on your phone before the game, right? And then you feed off that. You want to go and impress them also at the same time in the back of your head, and it felt like everybody just was in the moment and never let their foot off the gas. And that's credit to one of the players, but definitely the coaches as well.
So, I want to ask Josh some defensive stuff here in a second about the game, but just a quick point to mention. Zach, you were talking about Sorsby and how Utah's DBs did an overall pretty damn good job of holding those guys down, right? From there, he had that one big play that he hit, right? And that was in the second half. Now, one thing I did notice going into the halftime and everything was Smith Snowden seemed like he was a little slower walking off the field, right? And so it seemed like he did have a little thing bothering him. So nothing that seemed extreme, but I'm sure that that's something that affected that play. And then, it's obviously a good time for him and others going into this bye week, right? So, Josh, with the defense, okay. One thing that I found really intriguing, Sorsby, when it came down to it, he was 11 for 33, 33%, 221 yards passing, one touchdown, one interception. I can't, sorry. I can't remember the amount of touchdowns that he threw. Let's see. Was it just one? Yeah. So one touchdown, one interception, then he had that fumble too. Those turnovers are a rarity. But the one thing that Cincinnati still stayed consistent on was Utah didn't get any sacks. It's a rarity. I think they had one tackle for loss. Okay. So Utah was still in his face constantly causing all these issues. What was it that you saw with that still made Utah so effective and was disrupting him and flustering him, even without getting a ton of tackles for loss, a ton of and no sacks?
I think the number one thing I noticed was, and it's kind of like underrated, but it's also a point of emphasis, is the defensive line's rush lane integrity. So them being able to keep their rush lane integrity and not allow him to extend plays or not really have many directions or choices to extend plays. I think that's what led to creating a lot of the other turnovers, like when he fumbled and when he threw the interception, getting pressure and stuff like that. Obviously, but I think that was that, even though like we said, like they didn't get any sacks, but that's still something that, like, even as an offensive line or as a quarterback, like you still have to account for. It's like the pressure being in your face, and even if they don't necessarily get you, sometimes just having a quarterback be put in a stressful situation can cause them to make those mistakes, like thinking, oh, I can take off and run, or thinking I can fit this pass in there, and then boom, you end up throwing an interception or whatnot. I think that was kind of key. That's an underrated thing, but I think that was key for the defensive line, honestly.
For sure. Dude, so the cornerbacks really stepped up, right? Seems like
Oh
they've
yeah.
really been breaking out lately too. So what is
hmm
it that you've seen with them that's maybe been a little bit different these last few games that's allowed them to really break out, and some of the backups even really kind of stepping into bigger roles as well?
I'm seeing a lot more like from the corners. I'm seeing a lot more of them playing with their feet rather than their hands. Like I think like the BYU game, we were a little bit too handsy or whatnot, and that's fine and dandy. Like me as a corner, like I used to always tell people like our coaches would tell them like, don't change how you play. Like make the refs make the call. Like if that's what it's gonna be. But they've seemed to have gotten better as the season has went on with learning how to play these receivers with their feet and understanding, breaking points during routes and knowing what's coming. And and I guess that probably comes from them studying film. Because they have a great corners coach and Coach Shaw, who I'm almost 100% positive is on them day in and day out. But they very well look like they're in mid-season form, which is good, and I hope that they can keep that up and kind of build off each game, because sometimes going into a bye week, you can kind of it's been a minute, you know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of you can kind of not to say slack off, but coming off of a bye week can be a really good thing or it can be a very bad thing. There's no in between. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, well, especially when you're going into a bye week riding high, sometimes it's like, no,
Mhm.
give us that one more week. Let us keep that momentum. I mean, that's what you're thinking
Mhm.
if you're on that team right now. Granted, I mean, it's going to be nice to, you know, be able to fix some of those bumps and bruises, right? But still, I mean,
Mhm.
that is exactly what those guys have got to be saying, where it's like we're riding so high, please let us keep going, you know. Um,
Right.
you know, and then really when it comes down to it too, I mean, again, like I love the cornerbacks performances, right? To the point where, you know, Scooby Davis is somebody that he's just not getting talked enough about because they're not really
Mhm.
throwing his way very much, right?
Mhm.
Cotton is somebody that, man, it feels like anytime there's a deep ball, I mean, that dude is out physicaling the other guy and usually coming out on top with it, right? This game, the guys were extremely fortunate. Both sides were where they let them play, right? Utah's been getting called for a lot of just dumb ticky tack little technical penalties when it comes to the cornerbacks. And
Right.
to me, I don't know if that's something you guys noticed as well this game, but to me, that was a key thing where I felt like it benefited both sides, right? Because Utah's offense, I'm sure, was frustrated because there were plenty of times where there should have been pass interference called. But at the same time, too, it kind of evens out where, Utah didn't have any egregious ones, but it allowed them to play that much more physical.
Right. And I definitely agree on that. The kid Scooby Davis is definitely not getting talked about enough because I've been watching him. I've been watching him since last year, and I like him. I like him a lot. I've got to see how much he's grown as a corner and how much his mentality has changed and how consistent he is with his play. And I really think he is not getting talked about. And I know what it's like, not to get talked about because you just you don't necessarily get any praise when you locking people up and they're not really throwing the ball your way. You know what I mean? It's I tell people all the time, cornerback can be a thankless job sometimes, because
Mhm.
if the receiver isn't getting the ball thrown, they assume that, oh, you're not guarding the guy. You know what I mean? So I know what it feels like. But shout out to Scooby Davis though. And the other kid too I've noticed who's kind of been elevating this game over these last few games is the kid the transfers. His last name is Saunders.
Mhm.
I don't know
Yeah.
his first name, but I've been watching him too. And he's definitely, I'm seeing him get better with his feet. You know what I mean? Get better at controlling the receivers down the field, and I like it. I really like where this group is headed.
Yeah, Don Saunders. And Sharif and Morgan really made a conscious effort when they got in the Big 12, just kind of seeing how everything went, where they had to make that adjustment with going to the bigger cornerbacks, and
Right.
bigger wingspans. as opposed to how they had kind of gone the last little while with shorter and speed, and so it's finally starting to pay dividends for them, and it's going to be really interesting just to see how the guys finish off the year and then keep going from there. So seems like they've kind of figured something out with that. But Zach, man, offense. Guess what? I want to ask you about one of our favorite topics, man. Does Utah have a deep ball?
No, they don't have a deep ball. I mean, you see the place that we had to dial up just to get that off. So definitely don't have that. But it was nice to see the attempts down the field a little bit, right? The one in the end zone where I think it was Benny and another and then Bentley, I want to say both of those dudes ran into each other. Right, like we don't got a deep ball. When you got two dudes running into each other for one ball, we don't got no deep ball. But it was nice to see them take the attempts when they present themselves. I think Davis dropped one that was thrown a little bit behind them across the field, which would have been a really nice snag if you could have grabbed that one. But those opportunities are gonna be there. I mean, Davis had a really good game. He had 8 catches, 100+ yards. So he stepped up again this week and did some really good things. He's been essentially the most consistent dude in the receiving game when it comes to the wide receivers at least. So it was nice to see that. Dampier looked smooth offensively. Run game was there. Parker had another 100-yard plus game. Bray has come in. This is something that Makai was talking about about a month ago, maybe, and he was talking about how good Bray was, and obviously I didn't know anything about him and stuff like that. But the dude's come in and started taking snaps out of guys' out of the rotation there as a true freshman. He's just so dynamic. And one thing about our offense, we're going to call the jet sweep, right? Like if you could take that to a sports better, take the over on how many jet sweeps we're going to call every week. Like we are going to call at least 4 jet sweeps and get them in different styles, different variations. Like no matter where you're at on the field, is always a real threat. And he's been able to really carve out a role Bray has for himself offensively, specifically when it comes to that stuff, stretching the field, and Rogers just kind of stepped back a little bit. I don't know if people have been really paying attention to where Rogers is not, been as involved in the offense as he was. Like I don't know if there was an injury somewhere, but to me it doesn't look like it. It just looks like Parker is obviously your starter, and Rogers looks like he's the goal line type back when they get down there on the 1-2 yard line when they get into those tight formations on the center. And then Bray looks like he's your, kind of do it all type of a guy. And I just been noticing that, but it's like it's working for us. Bray's done some really good things. Hopefully, it continue to kind of disguise them a little bit because man, if I'm watching it and I see that every time you come in, 70% of the time is a jet sweep. Obviously, defenses are doing the same thing. So hopefully, he can continue to grow as a player and they give him the ball some more screens, let him get out wide, catch some passes, stuff like that. Let him get in space because the dude's dynamic when he got the ball in his hand. Like he can make guys miss. He's fast as hell, and all that type of stuff. But yeah, deep ball, wouldn't say that. We'll have to come back to that next year.
It's definitely cool to see them get creative though, in order
Right.
to create that deep ball. Because I noticed like a couple of times like where they lined Wayshawn Parker up at QB, and then they handed it off to Dampier. And when you look at that from a defensive standpoint, obviously you thinking something's up, but you don't necessarily know what they're gonna do because you have two very very valid running threats. So you're not really thinking of the pass like that. You know what I'm saying? And then like the pass that Ryan Davis caught, the one deep ball that he caught, uh I think they direct snap to Wayshawn Parker. He handed it off to Dampier. Dampier looked like he was gonna run, and then boom, he chucks it. And I'm like, okay, that's creative. Not a true deep ball, but it's a way to get the ball down the field. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I did like that. I did like the creativity.
If we got to be
J-
creative, I'll take it. Like if
Yeah.
that's what it's gonna take for us to get those. I mean, you get in 1-on-1 every play. Like it's not like you
Yeah.
not getting 1-on-1. Like I know a lot of receivers right now that'd be licking their chops if they was playing this offense and
What?
know that I'm gonna get 1-on-1 coverage every play. Like
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I like that they are being creative. That puts a lot of stress on, Beck essentially because you maybe only got like 2, 3 different plays that you can get to that type of thing. So if you miss it, right? Like if you miss that throw, now there's no more deep threat essentially going to happen. Like because it's not going to happen throughout the course of the game. That was definitely a play call where hey, we get midfield. Let's call this. It's not like it's just we can just snap this thing and go be explosive on
Right.
offense. It was definitely
Hmm.
a situational call. Thankfully,
Yeah.
it worked and things like that because once we get in the red zone, good luck trying to stop us in the red zone. And
Yeah.
just getting
Facts.
there sometimes when we need a little help in the passing game could take a little longer.
Sure. Yeah, and Josh, you mentioned the trick play kind of. If I remember correctly, that was Bird that was in there. So nice little segue on this. I loved that they involved Bird more, especially after last game and how he's emerging. Um, did they do it enough? Did they do it the right way? What do you guys want to maybe see that much more in those type of packages to utilize his skill set as opposed to him coming in and everybody just automatically saying, okay, it's a run.
I do want them to utilize Bird's skill set more, but I'm gonna also need because I really want to highlight this. I'm gonna also need Bird to remember that he is a quarterback. Cause that shot he took at the end of the game for the touchdown, kudos to you being able to hang on and get the tub. But hey, you gotta stay healthy, brother. Cause like you said, we don't know what could happen. And we need you. You know what I'm saying? So like, utilize your skill set, but also let's keep him protected.
That's a Zach run, right? Except usually the defender is going to be the one bouncing off of Zach.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure, for
I
sure.
was I was right there on that sideline and I heard it. I heard the pop. I thought a bigger dude hit him. But he bounced off that thing with no problem. And I was like, all right, that's a play because he had some pressure. He spent out of the pressure, came back around, did a little pump fake, took a hit, and still got up in the end zone.
Hmm.
Uh, but I thought they used them enough. I thought they could have used them a little bit at the back end, last 8, 9 minutes of the game. Just gave him the last 8, 9 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
Once the thing was put away, once we had 38 points, because obviously, Cincinnati wasn't going to do anything anymore. So I was like, just put him in now, because like I said, Dampier, from my point of view, was still gimpy. So I was like, man, I don't want to just. He was still kind of running a little bit, scrambling sometimes here and there, just moving in the pocket. And I'm like, I don't want nothing stupid to happen. Like, look at last night with Jaden Daniels. Why is Jaden Daniels
mm,
still in the game? Like, that's idiotic, right? Like, it
right.
makes absolutely no sense for him to still be in that game once they're, have the when they. In his case, they're losing. In our case, we were up by a lot. So I was like, man, just give Bird the last 9 minutes. Let him just go ahead and go do his thing. This is a chance to put a little bit more film on out there for him and let him throw some passes, give him some little quick, easy stuff or whatever that they might get, some free asset stuff. But, they decided to do, their thing and whatever. And thankfully, Dampier didn't have any other problems throughout that game. And now he got into the bye week with a chance to get even better health wise and stuff like that. But I think it's still Dampier's team. I think that was
mm,
reinforced. Um,
Mhm.
and he came out and put all that stuff to sleep. Like we kind of talked. We got into it a little bit last week, just talking about hey, maybe right, but then at the end of the day, it's like shit. Is Colorado a worthy opponent enough? Right, like
Right.
Colorado just got smacked up again last week, this about the past weekend. So I'm like, I'm not taking nothing away from them, but still, it's like shit. I could probably have played quarterback that game and ran for 200 yards against those guys. How they looked. So it was reinforced to let everybody know, hey, this is still this dude's team.
Mhm.
He looked the part still. He looked like he can still take guys to where they want to go to. So that was good. Bird is definitely a player that when his time comes, right? Something to me that I don't think people talking about is we be talking about Bird a lot, right? But shit, no one's talking about Wilson. Like we here are just essentially anointing Bird as QB2, which the school already did from the roster standpoint of things or whatever. But what about the following year, right? Like the year after that or whatever it may be. Where I don't see how Wilson is still going to be in a Utah jersey, especially after this year. Like I don't see that.
Yeah.
Especially how things went from last year, then he wanted to leave, transfer out, or whatever the hell happened there. Then he ended up coming back, and now he's in a situation where he's QB3. I mean, shoot, he looked like me, just minus the shoulder pads. Like he don't got no helmet half the time I see him over there, right? So I'm just like, that can mess with your psyche, especially when you are a really highly touted quarterback and you stay home at your home school and things haven't really, worked out in your favor. Plus, I'm like, is he a match for Beck? Like Beck likes quarterbacks that can move, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't see Isaac as a quarterback that can run the ball 15, 20 times. That's what the game plan really called for, right? Like Bird and Dampier, they fit this offensive style. I don't see Isaac as that style fit at the same time as well. So it's, I just be thinking about that when I see him down there. I'm like, shit, is this a fit for him? Is this, Bird has played really good. I don't know how you jump him. You're not going to jump him in spring ball. You're not going to jump him in camp. Like, because he got the game experience already and he's performed at a high level. So it's like, I don't know how he'll still be here next year.
Yeah. The only thing I'll really say and interject on that stuff is, when it comes down to it, yeah, you're right. He doesn't fit Beck's style of offense that he wants to run. You'd have to completely change it, right? Beck is very, versatile and flexible with those things. But I mean, you go back, and I know this was a conversation that me and OC were having on ESPN 700, where, when Isaac came in and got his chance, he didn't do well with it, right? He literally, it was either a no gain or he might have lost a yard on a play that the gap was so big that Bird or Dampier would have had, I can't remember what yard line it was on, but it would have been at least a 50-yard touchdown run to the house for either one of those guys. And he got no gain or lost a yard on it, and so that's just the subtle little things, right? That, can he be a good quarterback? Yeah, he can be a good quarterback. I don't know that that's in this system.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he's a good quarterback. I think passing game wise, with a guy like that who his identity is going to be how he's able to throw the ball, like that takes time, right? Like the school, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, all these people have to know, okay, this might be a year process, right? Like if we were to look at every single quarterback and be like, after their freshman year, none of these guys would essentially make it. So it's like, he's definitely a quarterback because you said the gap there, right? Like his first instinct is not to pull it down and run. His first instinct is to try to, spread the ball and things like that. And that's a big jump to try to get from go to high school to college. And you talk about the speed of the game, people disguise and stuff, all these better athletes, all this different stuff that takes time. Like you can't just learn that in practice. You can't learn that in meeting rooms. Like you got to go out there and apply it, especially as a quarterback. And one, I don't think he's had a real opportunity to fully go and do that because this team was built to win. Like this team has the pieces in different areas, right? Like if he came into the school and guys, we just went 5-5 or something like that, right? Like the previous year, but we didn't have the pieces because we had the pieces still. We just didn't have the quarterback position. Then it's like, all right, well, you can give him some time to kind of develop and get better and stuff like that and kind of see where you're at. That's why they went and got a guy like Dampier, right? Like they go and get somebody who has played, got some skill level there, and they bring OC with them, and it's a match made um, where they've already had success before and whatever. So it's like I don't know where he can go from here in this offense. It doesn't work in his offense. Like he
Mhm.
would have to change a lot of stuff and go get him receivers at the same time too. With Dampier and Bird, right? Like if things aren't there, they can erase a lot of the bad stuff because they have the ability to be able to run the ball. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a huge difference in between the styles just alone, right? Like
Right.
if Isaac could run, I think he might have been QB1 because I feel like he's a better passer of the ball from what I've seen in high school. Obviously, that doesn't hold much weight, but still, it's like he can throw, but it's the all the other parts of just not being able to just be, I can throw. It's like, okay, can you read the coverage, time and delivery, like not holding on to the damn ball? Can you
Right.
get us into just certain distances with your legs sometimes? Can't just do the X's and O's. Sometimes you got to go above those, especially as a quarterback.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when it came down to it and Beck came in, obviously all the quarterbacks hit the portal. And I know, for instance, he had told Rose's family, like, hey, look, like there's not going to necessarily be a conversation until I get my guys in, right? And so he was looking for the guys that fully fit his system. Now, if you ask me, I mean, Rose had that injury, but Rose is a quarterback that fit that system, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you know, and Rose would have been ideal had it not been for that injury, right?
He was
I know that
nice.
he was when he got the opportunity. Isaac, because he had that knee injury towards the end of the year, okay, goes in the portal. Wasn't getting the takers because, one, the injury, and two, because the film just did not show somebody that most schools would probably even want to give $500,000 to as a quarterback. And I
Right.
know that he wanted more than that, right? So it just kind of hit that point where it was Isaac asking back into the program, and so that's where, kind of like what you guys are saying with all that stuff. I kind of want to be careful of like what I'm talking about with it and everything, but I see and agree with basically everything that you guys are saying with all that stuff,
Well, I'll say
because
it for you. He doesn't have
there
a
you go.
legit fucking future in the offense because his style doesn't fit. Takes away absolutely nothing from him being a good player, right? Like,
Yeah.
shit. If I was in college, like, just say myself for example, right? Like, if I was in college and we ran, say we had what was the offensive coordinator Ludwig, from freshman year in a sophomore, I would have been screwed because he ran a lot of stuff from under center. It was a much, much more pro style offense that was never accustomed to, right? Like I would have never been able to play like I wanted to play because that wasn't my style. Like I played with in spread offenses, gun, and all that type of stuff, and that's what I was used to in high school. So it was like, oh, okay, perfect. Like when Ludwig came in my senior year, I had to really adjust and be like, shit, this is different. Like lining up 8 yards deep, talking about like
Yeah.
it was different because sometimes if you don't have an offensive line that can move people and you line up 8 yards deep, oh, you're gonna be dodging a lot of shit behind that behind that line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Me, I was never used to that because it was just different. Like it's just different. It's like if you take a receiver who plays mainly outside and you throw his nigga in the slot, it's a lot of different things there that looks totally different for him. So it's like that, and like, and that's what I'm saying. It's like the style. Sometimes it's just the style. Like not to say that he's not a good player. This style of offense that Beck is trying to run, right? Because his passing game is not elaborate. Like it's not like this dude is called. I've been in some really good offenses where like if I show you a play sheet, right, with the drawings, you're like, yo, this is a lot of stuff on here. Like dudes is getting active in this offense, passing wise, right? Like if you show me Beck's some of these drawings for these passing games, it's probably not crazy, right? One, he doesn't have the talent to do it. Two, that's why he wants some guys that can eliminate the bad stuff, right? Like look at a Jackson Dart, right? Like the way he's able to play within that offense is they lack in a lot of the passing game. So he makes up for it right? And the coaches allow him to make up for it because he has the legs to do so, right? And I only know this because the same dude who's off the head coach for the Giants was the same dude who's offensive coordinator for Buffalo when Josh was a young quarterback. And if you look at that Bills roster in 18 and 19, there wasn't any bona fide number one receivers, right? You had some dudes that can go, like you had a Cole Beasley in the slot, you had a John Brown outside. He was your number one receiver at like 5'10", right? And John was really good. He had 1,000-yard year. You look at the Giants right now, your number one dude is Darius Slayton. So it's like everybody knows, okay, we're not that good at passing, but Dart can make up for it with his legs, right? Beck's offense is kind of like that. We're not really good at passing, so I know I have to have a quarterback who's able to move in that pocket and eliminate a lot of stuff, right? Like, why you think Russell Wilson wasn't able to be Russell Wilson? Because he can't run anymore. He got the same receivers as Jackson Dart got. What's the difference? One can run. He puts defenses on his heels a little bit more versus if you just a mannequin back there, we can go get you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the offense. I know the offense doesn't fit for Isaac just because he's not as athletic as these other dudes that have to fit this offense. For this offense to be good, you can't have a guy who's stationary. You have to have guys that can play off time, off rhythm, guys that can extend plays, right, and all this type of stuff. And that's just what it has to be. Like, it's nothing against him. It's just if he could run, right? Like if he could run for real, and make people miss and take some hits. And I know when I look at this dude, he can take 15, 20 carries a game. Like we've seen Dampier take 15, 20 carries a game, right? Bird just took, I want to say maybe 20 against Colorado. So it's like, these dudes can do it. We just talked about Bird, like, yo, why take that hit on the sideline? But he can do it, right? He did it there, so he can do it. I don't know how well Isaac pops up from that, right? Like, does he spin in? I don't know. Like, but we haven't seen it. But obviously, the coaches know more than we do because they're there every single day. They're evaluating guys every single week. And the film never lies. It never lies.
Nope. And the other thing too is he just happens to be in a room with one quarterback that has it and another quarterback that appears to have it, right? I am very close to being able to say Bird Ficklin has it. There's just something about him that just, I don't know, it resonates. It gives everybody confidence, and he makes things happen, and again, I mean, it just goes back to that TD run at the end of that game right there too, right? So you mentioned the quarterback carries, Zach. The running backs almost got 20. You had one running back almost get 20 carries this game, dude. Are you happy with the amount that Wayshawn got? He got 17.
Yeah. About time, man. Like, shoot, he's been averaging like 9 to 10 carries a game, which I don't know how you are surviving. Like, I don't know how he's not in there, like, just pissed 24/7. He's a really good player. Like, he got more in the tank than he's been able to show. But like we talked about weeks ago, it's like they're not asking him to be that guy. Like, they're not asking for that. Like, they got a guy, I've said, like, it's like a three-headed monster, right? Now, Rodgers just kind of pulled off outside of that monster a little bit, but you kind of can put him and Bray in that same space, right? But you got a guy like Dampier, and then you got Bird, who's showing his flashes, right, at the same time, that can take the carries, 15, 20 carries. And I told you, like, most offenses now, they don't just go off of, all right, I'm just going to have our dudes beat these dudes. Like, it's not about that anymore, 100%, right? It's more so about analytics. And when you have a quarterback that can run, that puts you in favor more than the defense every single time, right? Like, if this QB run is 60% chance of doing something like this versus me handing the ball off to the running back and then being a number short, right? Like, every time the quarterback hands the ball off to the running back, what's the quarterback do? Stand there and look, right? Now you got 10 versus 11, essentially, right? The safety coming down versus quarterback runs, 11 on 11. Quarterback make a dude miss. You talking about house calls, right? Hitting your head on the goalpost. So it's like most offenses now and I played in them, especially when I was in Buffalo, and it drove them crazy. But sometimes when you're playing with really good damn players, and in my case, talking about a Hall of Famer with Josh, we would call so many, goal line QB runs, especially at the beginning when I was there, because the numbers made more sense, right? And sometimes you have to step back and really look at it and be like, damn, it's like, why does Philly run the damn tush push? The numbers tell them if I just QB sneak this. Now they have a unique way, but it's like the numbers show, okay, QB run game is always going to put us in a better position than just always turning around and just giving the ball off to the back in certain situations. And Beck has, again, utilized the position and the athletes that are able to do that, right? Like, so it's all about analytics. And the bad thing is for the running back, like a guy like Parker, right? Obviously, he has another year, so everything could change, and he can get more carries, he can get better throughout the offseason and stuff like that. And where you can't deny him the ball essentially anymore. You got to turn around and give it to him. But he's putting off back end of the year. He's putting together a nice string of games so far. He's putting together about 2 or 3 now. That was really good. That carries momentum. Like, it's going to carry a lot of momentum for him. So hopefully he can do that these next 3 weeks. And that'll catapult him into his junior year. I believe he'll be a junior, right? And he come out the gates firing, man.
Yeah, so with Sean, if I remember correctly, Whittingham had mentioned that he was a little slowed by, just some dings and stuff like that early throughout the year. I know he had some off-season surgery that they had talked about, so I'm wondering if that kind of contributed to some of this stuff, right? Where Rodgers was doing a good job, right? I mean, there was a reason he was getting some of those carries, but excuse me, plenty of reason why Parker's carries were a little down, and now I think that now that Parker is showing that stuff that much more, he's a little bit more healthy. That's where Rodgers are going down a little bit, and then he's still not at that 20 because you got Bray and you got Dampier, and now all of a sudden you got Ficklin in there, which it's what's going to be interesting to follow is, I'd love to go back and watch the game film from the other day and see how many designed runs Dampier actually had, or if they were just kind of, or I want to say that the majority of them were more the reactionary runs, right? And so I don't know if that's something either of you guys would have seen, but that just kind of goes back to, again, like those times that Bird was in there. It would be nice to, like, going forward, allow him to throw the ball a little bit on some of those plays here and there, because they obviously trust him, right? And you don't want the defense seeing him run in and keying on it. Like, okay, well, it's a run, whether he's behind the center or whether he's out wide, this is a run, which is exactly what it was, other than that one trick play, right? Let's get wrapping this up here in a minute. Two guys I did want to highlight before kind of wrapping this. Creed Whitmore, okay, had that clutch touchdown, breaking off that guy going in the end zone. He said when he caught the ball, he just blacked out, and the next thing you knew, he was in the end zone, right? Awesome to see him do that, because I know everybody on the team loves him, but at the same time too, he wasn't on the field initially to start the season because he wasn't catching everything in practice, and he was, having some turnover issues, and that's, I mean, you guys have both said this time and time again, that's a deal breaker with Whittingham, starts stepping up in practice, starts taking care of that. He's all of a sudden this new weapon that Utah has in a wide receiver, a position that they so desperately need more guys to break out, on top of that, there's Mana Carvalho and his punt return, and just how huge that was, right? I mean, all of a sudden you add special teams as this sort of weapon now that just wasn't there, and this Utah football team's just looking that much more and more scary. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on both of those guys.
I want to give a shout out to Carvalho because I definitely was hard on him for muffing that punt against BYU, but I'm very proud of the way he redeemed himself. So shout out to him. Shout out to him for sure. The Whitmore kid, like I say with everything, build off that. You scored your first touchdown. Is that his first touchdown?
Yeah. It was his
Okay,
third
yeah.
catch,
You
first
scored
touchdown.
his third catch, first touchdown. Build off of it. Build off of it. Take that energy that you got to feel with scoring a touchdown, and just feed off of that. Go into practice, get consistent, and catch more touchdowns. That's the recipe.
Yeah, yeah.
We're boring Zach over there. I saw that yawn.
No. I've had a long week. No, but yeah, Whitmore, yeah, like Josh said, like just keep stacking those, man. Like sometimes, early in the year things can be a little weird and stuff like that, but obviously the coach still got faith in him and he's been putting in the work and things of that nature. So, um, they're gonna need everybody. It takes everybody. It's never just one guy, two guys, or whatever it may be. It's everybody. It's like no matter if you're the third, fourth guy, or you're the guy on the scout team giving looks, like the guys that essentially are going to be playing that week can't get better if the scout guys aren't giving them good looks, right? You know what I mean? So you need that, like, because iron sharpens iron, and one way we can get better. I can't practice against myself, right? So just continue to do what he's doing, and he'll be all right. And then, yeah, the punt return was massive, man. Like he had a big one right before that one, and I was happy because he did something early in that game where he let it bounce, or he caught it, and then he got down to like the 3 or 4 yard line, right? And not a lot of people were happy on the sideline when he did that, right? And then he comes back throughout the course of the game. He has a nice one where he probably broke off about 20, maybe some yards. But he got downhill. Like that's what most like I've never played punt return, but I know guys who have, and what they want to do is catch it and just find one crease and then just go. Because you get past that first wave of dudes, man, like you get past the first 2, 3 guys, anything can happen after that point, right? So
Mhm.
like when he did that on the second punt return, I was like, okay, good. Like that's coaching. Somebody told him, yo, don't stop your feet, don't dance, don't go side to side. Like catch this thing, find a crease, put your foot in the ground, and just go, right? Like because the point of special teams is to flip the field, right? Like, and if you can get 10, 15 yards back, right? Talk about analytics. That's probably going to boost our chances of either getting the first down, extending this drive, or just getting any type of points at all. But then that second one, that last one, I was standing on the sideline. I was standing with some buddies, and I'm like, "Yo, he might." I was like, "He might do it." I'm like, "Go do something with it." And next thing you know, I just hope he didn't get caught by the punter, or I was gonna be really mad if he got caught by the punter. But he made the punter miss, and he got out. He ran out of juice at like the 5 yard line, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Yo, please score," because I there's nothing worse than running something so long and then you getting tackled at the 5 or 1 or something like that. Like,
Yes.
because now you know you're not getting the ball again. You come
Yeah.
to the sideline, you got to watch somebody else score your touchdown. I was like, damn, I hope he gets in. He fell in there, and
Yeah.
everybody on the sideline was just so happy for this dude. And because he's been consistent in catching the ball and doing certain things like that, and just doing the right things. So that finally just pays off. So you know, now, bye week, don't take anything, like Josh said, like earlier, it's like bye week can be a good thing, bad thing. Like, continue to stay in y'all routine. Like, just make sure you keep doing what you're supposed to do. Like, you won't be catching punts, right, for a couple days. Like, go ask the equipment guys to go throw that jug machine out there, put that thing in the sky,
Exactly.
and keep catching them and then keep, like, envisioning yourself doing these things. So that way, when next time these guys touch the field, because they got 3 games left, 2 on the road, it's not like I don't know. Obviously, I haven't dove in and looked at Baylor, but you know, I wouldn't assume it's a cakewalk, right? Like, why not for Baylor? I don't know what their record is, but I'm pretty sure they want to be the spoiler. They might want to spoil some things, right? So it's
Hmm.
like guys have to understand. Yeah, you won these last 2 games, these coming out of that BYU loss and all that, whatever, and that was big and stuff like that. But talk about 3 games left, 2 on the road. in Kansas, and you got to go to Baylor, and you got Kansas State at home. You got everything in front of you, man. Like, it's not really a bye week. On your body, physically it is, but mentally, like, everybody got to stay as locked in as possible. And guys got to hold each other accountable. The leaders got to be the leaders and stuff like that. And shoot, you got essentially, for a lot of these guys, seniors, right? They got 3 weeks, and they may or may not play football again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
in the fast season.
Yeah, some of these guys you may never see again, essentially with transferring out and stuff like that too. You never know. So guys just got to go as hard as they possibly can. I'm sure they will. The coaches will have them ready to go, but this bye week is going to be crucial, just from guys getting healthy, staying mentally locked in, all that type of stuff. But like we said before, we usually do a really good job. We always harp on it and just try to push the envelope with it. But Coach Witt led teams coming out of bye weeks usually pretty good.
Usually, and like I was saying too earlier, though, it's a blessing and a curse when the team is doing as well as Utah's doing, and then all of a sudden it goes into a bye, and so that's going to be the one key thing to kind of pay attention to. I mean, they're not going to lose any motivation, but will they lose some of that juice, some of that momentum, right? You just don't know when it comes to these things. But usually when it's a Whittingham led team, it's you feel safe betting on it, right?
Yeah. You ever see a dog that's in the backyard, is just locked up, and you walk by the fence and it's just like foaming, it's just ready to go, right? Like, that's the mentality, that's the picture these guys got to have coming out of this bye week. Like you said, to your point, you just played probably two of the best games in university history. Like, if you really want to look at it, right? Like, you talk about just total beatdowns, right? Straight up beatdowns of two programs, right? You just spoiled a 7-win straight team. Like, that's the mentality they have because everything, like I said, everything's still live, right? Like, that's the mentality they have to, like, just be that dog that's locked up right now for the bye week that you've been playing lights out, but whenever that person walks across that fence, like, just be ready just to break them chains and just go. And I think they'll be ready to do that when they go to Baylor. It'll be a great test and stuff like that, and they got a chance to continue to prove themselves. Obviously, the committee, right, does believe in this team, right? Like, shoot, you just lost to a Texas Tech team, paid a lot of money, right, and then you lost a big in-state rivalry game that can always go either way, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody still believes in this team. I think you sent like the metrics over and things like that. Like, this team is good. Like, we come on here, we fucking harp on these guys a lot, and because the team is good. Like, these guys have everything they need to go where they want to go. So they can they're at 17. They jumped 7 spots. Who can say they can't jump? Impressive. Just 5 spots, 10, 6, 7 spots up in the next 3 weeks if they go out and they go handle business in the correct fashion. Can't be none of these close games, right? Go put up another 45 piece and keep doing those things, and they'll have a shot. And then, you let Coach Witt get into the college football playoffs, anything can happen, right? Like, they might be underdogs a lot of the time, which is perfect. Most times, Coach Witt underdog teams are really good. So never know, but I mean, the good thing is we get to just chill out this week and not have to worry about anything. No crazy injuries or nothing, no wins and losses. Just relax and just watch hopefully get some help from some other teams this weekend.
Yeah, there's some pretty big games to take place this weekend that Utah could move up that much more. One of the BYU, right? Yeah, Tech and BYU. That's a 10 a.m. game, man, or 10 or 11. I can't remember, but I'll be all over that. Any BYU fans that want to watch it with me while they deal with me throwing back beer, then there you go, right? But
we need BYU to win, right? That's what we want, technically.
That would be ideal. And there's still plenty of ways for Utah to be able to get in. Like, look, here's how I look at it, and we can kind of talk more about this with the 48-hour rule coming up and everything, and over these next few weeks as well. But to me, so I put out a tweet. I don't know if you saw it, okay? But I was just saying I don't necessarily agree with this right now, but I can see a scenario where, it might not be a bad thing for Utah to not be in that conference championship game. Okay. And the reason why is because the metrics, the numbers love Utah so much. Okay. And then when you sit back and you look at things in a whether right or wrong, whether right or wrong, recency bias is there. Program brand and credentials are there, right?
Yeah.
Utah backs all that stuff up. There's a lot of people out there that love Utah and know what Utah can do, and again, whether right or wrong, because it is just this year, it still it makes a difference. It's been that way year after year after year after year, even without the CFP, even without the BCS, right? And so Utah has a lot of ways to benefit, but the way I look at it, and the reason I say that is one, the numbers, okay. Two, if Utah keeps blowing the teams out, and again, it doesn't have to be a blowout. It just needs to be a convincing win each week, right? And they're going to be favored each week. From there, they're going to be close enough to that top 12, top 10 range, depending on what happens in front of them. But they keep winning, they will be in that range, okay? And say if BYU goes into this game, and this is not a scenario that Ute fans like hearing, okay, but say BYU goes into that game and they're the favorite and they win that conference championship game against Texas Tech, okay. Utah is sitting in a very nice spot on the outside with a shot to get in because their only two losses are to those teams. Dampier was dinged up in both of those games. The committee will take note of that, right? And then you factor in all the numbers and everything else. Utah's sitting pretty. You want to see somebody like Notre Dame lose this week. They're playing Navy, and it still baffles me that they're even in the top 10. I mean, they've won 6 straight, but they started the season 0-2, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we'll have some fun talking about this stuff and different ways that we see it. But yeah, like it's not that outrageous of a thought for me to sit back and say that like it might not be a bad thing for Utah to not make the conference championship game and still potentially get into the CFP, which is just it's insane to think, but that scenario is a much more realistic possibility than you'd usually think.
Yeah. I mean, however they got to get it done, it'd be awesome to see them in the top 12 at the end of the year when it's all said and done. But yeah, let's definitely keep some of this, right? Like you said, like for 48, that'd be awesome.
For sure. Hey Josh, you had to jump off there for a second, man. I saw stuff going on with your phone. So Zach told some pretty funny stories about you, man.
What was the story? Which one?
I don't know. You're gonna have to listen to the podcast and find out.
All right.
No, I'm playing, dude. I'm playing.
I know.
So,
My phone is tripping though for some odd reason.
Yeah. Well, we're getting to the point of wrapping this, man. So really what I want to get from you guys, because Zach was kind of talking about in the next few weeks and kicking the bye and all that stuff. Before I mention that, I want to say one other thing about Mana. You know what I loved almost even more than that punt return touchdown is I love just seeing the joy and the reaction and almost the relief on guys' faces sometimes, right? And so there was like 1 or 2 punts after he got that big punt return touchdown, they wanted nothing to do with him, right? And kicking away, and he's running off to the side, and you can see like the camera close up on him, and he's just running, biggest damn smile on his face, like just of relief. And it's like, oh my God, I did it, I've made it, I've arrived. These guys don't want to get to me, It's so it's those little things sometimes, right, that you just see where it's like, good for you, man. Good for you, But okay, so going into bye week, we got these last 3 games that the guys are going to be preparing for now. Okay, so again, there's a lot to still be playing for the program. Lots of possibilities. We'll see how it unfolds. It's they've just got to keep winning and and hope for everything to fall their way. But it's doable. It's realistic. We saw it happen for Utah 2 years in a row with the Rose Bowl. Okay.
Mhm.
So going into this bye week, what are some things that you are looking forward to seeing in these final 3 games? And what are maybe some things that you still want to see the team improve on outside of the deep ball? Because again, we've said that like it is what it is, right?
Um, I really want to see the continuation of what we've just seen in these past 2 games. That's the biggest thing, and I think the most important thing for not only just the Utah offense, but just the Utah team as a whole. Like I was saying in a couple episodes, like when this team is firing on all 3 cylinders, special teams, defense, and offense, like one of the best teams in the country. It's the top 10 team in the country for sure. So I think that's very important. If I did have any concerns, it's just the consistency, you know what I mean, of the whole team. Like I don't want to see I don't want to see them ball out like this 2 games in a row and then we come back and score 3 points or 10 points in a game. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see that. I want to see 30 plus points every single game. That's what I want to see. So in terms of that would be my only concern is the consistency thing. Is I would want them to keep this up. I don't want this to just be a sometime thing. I need this to be all the time. And frankly, it needs to be all the time if you want to play in the college football playoff and actually make a deep run for a national championship.
Nice. I love all that, man. It makes sense. I mean, look, like they don't need to change much right now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, Zach, what about you?
Just come out strong. Like I said, I think I kind of said it in a way like just stay mentally locked in. Like don't allow this bye week or allow the last couple games where they've been able to play at a high level. Continue to do the work that's allowed you to do that. Even through this bye week, like I said, a lot of this everything is still in front of these guys. They don't need a ton of help to kind of get where they want to be at and stuff like that. And they have a shot. Like you said, like maybe not being the Big 12 championship might be working in their favor, or even if they do get in there, right, they might see a BYU or a Tech, 2 teams you lost to, right? Like you can go show those dudes what's up for a championship, right? So, um, just I want to see the offense continue to be dominant, what they've shown. The defense is going to do that. We know that with Coach Scally and those guys and how they always are able to be really consistent on that side of the ball for years and years. But just continue to start fast, stay as hungry as possible, which, like I said, I'm sure they will. Coach Witt led teams come out of bye weeks are usually really, really good. So I'm not really worried about these guys as I were early in the year because I've seen just the way they've been able to respond. Um, and they've been able to respond really, really well so far. And, they have a favorable lineup the next couple of weeks. Like, it is very favorable for these guys. So I think that helps too, right? Like, not have to be like, oh, they still got to go play this one team, right? Now, there is 3 games left and it's 2 on the road. But like I said, they'll be favoring all of them, and um, as long as they play to how they're capable of playing and not going out and playing down to the level of certain teams like they did a Wyoming early in the year, right? Like go over there and just kind of play just down and all this different stuff. They cleaned up a lot of stuff. You don't really see many penalties anymore, right? So they've been doing this. They've just been continuing to trend it up. So I have no doubt that they will continue to do that and close this season out the right way and then kind of see wherever the chips fall.
Love it. Well, guys, I appreciate it as always. Zach, close it out like we always do, and let's get out of here.
Yep, man. Another big win for the youth, so that's always a good thing to wake up to. So make sure you guys continue to like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pod, wherever you get your daily dose of podcasting from. Make sure you guys are linked in with us and always continue to share with a friend. Go Utes.
Appreciate you guys. Zach, thanks again. And Josh, Appreciate it, man. Love that you're wanting to jump on
definitely.
these with us constantly. So we'll keep it rolling, huh?
Absolutely, man. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
boys. We'll be talking.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the players' lounge. Yeah. When no other moment, man, it can't compare. Due to the obvious, people look at me and then they envious. And they the ones that be grinning and acting the friendliest. Yeah. Things are moving in the right direction.